Girls, welcome back. We're going to continue the couch project. So, last tutorial we were just blocking in the regular shapes of the couch, and next thing that we need to really work on is the shape of the cushions, adding pillows, and rounding off some of these edges. So, with that, let's get started. So, first thing I want to do is create another cushion, which is the back of the cushion here. So what I can do is create a polygon cube, or I could just use what I have here in the scene. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select this couch, select this face here, and I'll go to Edit Mesh, Duplicate, move this guy forward, go into Object Mode, Modify Center Pivot, and move this guy up. I have it touching that object. I'll move it forward, about here, Control E, back, and Object Mode, Mesh Display Reverse. Now I'll go ahead and take the top faces here, or top vertices, bring it down just a little bit. Alright. Not too shabby. And I'll just duplicate this one. Control D and move it over here. Alright. Now let's see. Bad. We need to start giving some of these objects shape. As I'm looking at this cushion, it has this really thin line along the edge of the couch. Same thing with along the sofa cushion, along with the edge of the couch. We'll get to that in just a few. Let's start to add some subdivisions in the cushions and make this thing a bit more round in its shape. Alright. So I'll model one just for Maya, and then I'll model the other for Mudbox, and we can see the difference in the quality of the texture itself. So let's go to the Insert, Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. I'm going to add an edge loop along the edge here. I'll add another along the edge here, and another here. If I press 4, add one back there. Press 5, add one here, and one right there. Alright, perfect. Press 5, and I press 3 on this object. You can see that it looks a little bit hard. It looks like a brick. Okay, so I'm actually going to model this one for a Mudbox to texture it in there. Let's go ahead and go back to the Insert Edge Loop Tool option box. I'm going to turn on the multiple edge loops, and I'll add 3 here. Close this and subdivide it a little bit more. I'll double click on the Insert Edge Loop tool right there, and add 2 subdivisions there. Alright, perfect. Alright. Now again, we're going to sculpt this one inside of Mudbox. Alright, so you can see the difference in the quality of the cushion itself. This one, we're just going to add a few edge loops to this. So let's double click on our Insert Edge Loop tool. Click here, and I'll change the number of edge loops to 4. Okay. close that. And actually, let me press Y, which is repeat previous command, and I'll click on there. Okay. Alright, so what we're trying to do is make this object round in its shape. So I'm going to start by double clicking on this edge, double clicking on that edge, and let's go to object mode, and I'll press Control 1 to isolate it. Alright, so let's go to edge, and again double click this edge, hold shift, double click that one. I'm going to press R, which is a shortcut for the scale tool, and I'll look at it from the top view. Scale it just a little bit wider. It's probably hard to see what I'm doing until I go that far out. Okay, and I'm just, let's see. Alright, so it has a bit more of a different shape to it. I'm going to right mouse click, go to top vertices here. I'll highlight all of these guys. Okay. Press Control and deselect that. And what I'm trying to do is add curvature to the top of this. So if I hold spacebar, click on the word Maya, and go to front view. Here we go. I'll press W. I'll move this up. So you start to see a little bit of a curve. Let me close my hypershade, my attribute editor and my channel box. And then I'll select this whole row. I'll move this up just a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to hold spacebar, click on the word Maya, and then go to my front view. Left view. I'll press F to frame in, and now I need to get this to be a bit more round at the top, so I'll highlight that whole section here, and then I'll move it up just a little bit, and then I'll select that portion of it and I'll move that up. Okay, so it's very subtle. You want to make the roundness of the shape more dramatic. Select the outside edges and bring them down. You see something like that. I don't think a sofa cushion is shaped the same way our pillows will be shaped. Okay. Go to Object Mode, hold Spacebar, left mouse click on the word Maya, and find the word Perspective View, and there we go. Again, it's very subtle. Okay, if I press 3. You see the entire sofa cushion softens. Press Control 1 to go back into that. Now you're probably wondering, okay, well, in the image it looks a bit more square in shape, especially at the bottom edge there. And you're exactly right. So what we can do is go back to Mesh Tools, into Edge Loop option box, and I'll change the maintain position to relative distance from edge. It allows me to get more of a free forming selection of our enter edge loop, and I'm going to bring it right there towards the bottom. Okay. Now, object mode, press 3, and there we go. Okay. I'll press 1. And I'll press R to kind of scale it down a little bit. Scale it down this way. And I'm actually going to go to my vertex and move that middle section over just a little bit, so it's kind of like touching. I'll select those two guys. Hold Shift. Those. So you can see if I'm going to press 4, just have the opposite side selected. And I'll do that. Okay. Object. I'll press 3 on And again, from the image, you can see that the outside edge is a bit more, it's kind of curved. Actually, it's not as curved as what we have here. So I'll press 1 on this geometry. And I'll go to the edge, click on this edge, that one. And I can't forget this little guy, so I'm going to click on that small one first, the small part of the edge. I'll hold shift, double click on that edge. Here, double click on this edge. And same thing with the back side of this. I'll hold shift, it's like that. Double click and it's like this edge, and then I'll press 4 to look at it in the wireframe. Hold shift, and then double click on that edge there. Okay. Now press 5 to see back in the shaded mode, and the shortcut for the bevel is hold shift, right mouse click and hold, and find the word bevel. Now this bevel is a bit too much. Again, we're trying to look at it and get it to be exactly like that, and we will change the fraction to something like that, and we'll increase the segments. Okay, perfect. Now the object mode, and I press 3. You can notice we get this really weird stretching right here in the corner of that. Doesn't look exactly the way we want it to. So let's press 1, press Z to undo. Okay. Until we go back here. Alright. Now I'm going to go to vertex mode. Okay. I'll press 4 so I can see it in wireframe. And I'm going to highlight the entire bottom row of vertices. Press 5, press R, which is a shortcut for the scale, and I'm going to scale it out a little bit more towards that edge. There we go. And I'm going to select the entire top row of vertices. Okay, I'll press 4 to always make sure I don't have an extra vertex hidden. Press 5, and I'm going to scale it out just a little bit more, like so. 3. Looks good. So what I'm going to do is actually bevel this entire top row. So let's go back to that edge, and I'm going to isolate this object. Control 1. There we go. Click on this edge, double click, select that. Click that edge, I'm holding shift, double click this one. Hold shift, click on that edge, double click, hold shift, like this edge, double click, click on that one, hold shift, like this one, double click here, hold shift, double click there, and last but not least, we have that one. Okay, now we're going to hold shift, right mouse click and hold, and go to bevel edge, or you can go up top to the edit mesh and then bevel. Okay, so I'm going to hold shift, right mouse click and hold, bevel edge. Alright, here we go. Now, again, the fraction is what we're trying to change. And it would probably help if I had my image in the background so I could see exactly what it is I'm doing. Change the segments, something like 3. And there we go. Now, we could go to vertex mode, I'll press 4, highlight all of these vertices right down the center. Press 5, and then W, and just kind of move these guys in. Go. Just like that. Object mode in this cushion, and then we press 3, like that. Okay. So that looks good. We're going to do the same exact thing to the cushion here. So again, we can always make little adjustments to the corners here. Go to vertex mode, highlight that vertex, bring it closer to there. Take that vertex, bring it closer, press 3, and it looks a little more natural. Okay. Now, there's also, let me go back to, there's this line that goes all the way around here. Okay. We're going to do something to help us to create that shape. Press Control 1. And what I'm going to attempt to do is to, there are a few ways we could use an EP curve, make this object live and extrude an EP curve along this object, or we could select this, that row of faces, which I'm going to try to do first before we do the EP curve. So it's like that. I'll hold Shift, double click that. It's been a little fidgety. I'll just highlight the whole section. Press Control to deselect it. Press 4 to make sure I don't have anything else selected underneath. Press 5. Just like that face. Double click here. I'll press 4. Here we go. Allows me to select it now. Press 5. And then I will double click there. And I won't worry about the back side there. And let's do the same thing underneath. Hold Shift. Double click here. So this guy. Double click here. So this one. And double click there. Alright, so what I'm going to attempt to do is to extrude this. So I'll press Control E. Press the plus key, move it out like that. Perfect. Now press 3, see what that shape looks like. And I'm pretty happy with that. That looks good. Again, if you wanted to make this look a little more natural, you can go to Control Vertices, select maybe a cluster of vertices like that, press W, and I'm going to turn the image back on. Let me select the polygon, that image plane, and move it up. There we go. So I see in this image here, there's some areas where it kind of divots down. Again, we could always select those vertices and move them down a little more. It's like that region here. Move those guys down so it feels a little more natural, like someone has actually been sitting there. I could actually select the face, click on that face, and press B, which is a soft selection key. And right now, everything around this hotspot goes from yellow to red and to black. That means there's less of an influence. So if I move this up or down, you could see that this has an influence in this particular region, and not so much in the region where these edges are black. And then you could see the edges here are blue, so it's not even influencing that as much. If I hold B, left mouse click and drag, you can see that the selection or the influence is not as great. So I can move that region down, move this up. I could even select maybe edges and move these guys down. Just kind of create a little variation here. Move this down. That down there. You know, something like that. Okay. Right mouse click, object move. And there we go. Now this particular object here, I know I said I was going to send it to Mudbox, but I actually like this cushion here. So what I'm going to do is simply just delete that. Select this guy, Control D, move him over to the left, and start to square some things out where the edges meet. So let's go vertex. To turn off the soft selection, we press B. Press 4, highlight that section, press 5 again, move it over a little bit so they kind of touching there, press 4, and let me press 1 so I can select that entire row of vertices. Press 5, and move this guy over a little bit, press 4, 5. So you're always kind of going between vertices and edges. And same thing on this side. I'll put that cushion closer here. Alright, so we're doing some really basic sculpting. I don't want both of these cushions to look exactly the same, so go to face, select say these two faces, press B, which is the soft selection, and I'll move this down a little bit. I'll select these faces here, move these down. Select those vertices. I'll change the level of influence. Doing that. Maybe I'll move this one up. There we go. Make it look like somebody was sitting there. We don't have a whole lot of detail in this geometry because it's pretty low geometry. So I can't really put the imprint of someone's behind there, but we can try to get close. I'll press 5, press B, and here we go. So I'm pretty much going to take this same section and duplicate it, move it to the right, where we can start working on the pillows. Alright, so same exact thing. Mesh display, or mesh tools, insert edge loop option box. Click on the multiple edge loops. And as you already know, it's easier just to manipulate one shape and then duplicate it and move it over, and have to repeat the same process. So create 3 there, and I'm going to add, no, I think 4 is way too many for the top. Let's add 2. I think 2 is good. Close this. Right mouse click and hold. I'm going to isolate this, press Control 1. Alright. So, let's begin. Let's go to our edges. Press R. Scale it a little wider. Scale it up in the y-axis. Alright. I'll hold spacebar. Click on the word Maya, go to front view. Okay. Right mouse click, go to control vertices, highlight, scale that row and that row of vertices, scale them a little bit wider, highlight that, press W, move these guys up, just a little bit, not too much. Again, we don't want this to look like our pillows. And I'm not going to pay attention to too much of the bottom part. We'll give it a little bit of a rounded edge there. Alright, cool. Now we need to focus on 3, 6, 9, 12 vertices. So I'm going to draw a quick image of this pillow from the side. Oops, looks like we can't because we're in isolation. Let's delete this. Right, so this is a side of our pillow. And these red lines on this blue curve will represent that line here, that 5. So these are the vertices, and that again, the blue line represents our pillow from the side view. So what we're trying to do is make this thing round. And the way I think about rounding a flat object is to locate the center vertex, our control point, vertex if it's a polygon. I like to move this guy out closer, and then these others will kind of follow to create a round shape. If I've confused you already, then I apologize, but I'm going to try to illustrate that little drawing right there. So let's press W, click this guy, I'll press Control 1, press spacebar and hold, left mouse click and hold on the word Maya, and let's go to our left view. Alright, so let's go to vertex, highlight these guys, I'll move them forward, alright, and then I'll highlight that center one, and I'll move it a bit forward. See? Easy. Spacebar, click on the word Maya, perspective, and now we have a bit more rounded shape. Still is a little bit flat for me, so I'll go to face. I'll select these two faces, and I'll press B for the soft selection. I'll make it a little bit smaller. Let's actually select these guys, and let's move it forward. Okay. Now when I press 3, there it is. It's round, but again, it's still the same shape, same issue that we had with the base pillows. We want the edges of this object to be a bit more pointy. So I press 1. I go to edge, and I'll turn off the soft selection, which is B. I'll highlight this entire row. I'll press Control to deselect, so I have these guys selected. Hold Shift, press Control to deselect those. Alright. And hold Shift to select that corner, deselect that, hold Shift, deselect that. Press 5. And I think I'm probably going to confuse some of you, so I'm going to go into object mode. Sorry, go out of there. So these are the edges I have selected. Alright, those 3. So a total of 12 edges. They're just the backside edges of there, this object. I'll hold Shift to double click here, hold Shift, double click there, hold Shift, double click on this object, hold Shift, double click that one. Perfect. Now we're going to press Control E. Oops, that's actually Extrude. Z to undo. Hold Shift, right mouse click and hold, bevel edge. Alright. So I'm going to change the fraction, something like 0.2. Segments, I'll make it a value of 3. And the reason I'm using 3 is because I want that center face, right? If I change it to 2, then I only have one edge to extrude. So I'm actually going to change it to 3. 4 would obviously make it smoother, but remember, we're going to press 3 on this object to make it smooth. Alright, so I press 1 here, and I'm happy with the segments. Object mode. Now, if at any time you beveled and you forgot to bevel something, or maybe you changed the number to the wrong value, click on your channel box editor, and in your channel box editor there's the history of what you did to this geometry. So click on the poly bevel, and you see I can change the segments to 1, but we want it at 3. Alright, perfect. I really like to delete the history until I'm really satisfied with the shape of this object. Now I'm going to go to vertex, highlight this entire row, move it up a little bit higher so that we get, I think, just a closer rendition of that pillow. Move that over just a little bit. That section over. It feels a little more square to me. I'll press Control 1. Yeah, it feels a little more square in its shape. Okay, and I think that this pillow is closer to that edge, like so. Like that. And I'll take these vertices, move them over to the left. But you know what? Before I move these guys over, I'm going to duplicate it and move it here because I know that I'm going to use that same shape here. So I'll delete this one here, and we'll change this shape up a little bit later. Let's go back to this guy, vertex. Let's move these vertices over like that. So those guys, move them over. Perfect. And then I'll highlight that entire row and kind of get those in line. If I press 4, I'm actually going to move this entire bottom row of vertices. Press 5, move them up right there so that they're on top of that geometry. Alright, select these vertices. And so sculpting low poly geometry is so much it's more beneficial, I found out, instead of using a really high level of polygons. It's just easier to move up in quality or number of polygons than to go down in quality. So if I had, say, 40 polygons, it's easier for me to go to 80 than to go from 80 to 40. Alright, so I'm happy with this shape. If I press 3, then yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. Now, I'm realizing that the back side of that looks really terrible. So, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I usually say no one's going to see that, but please fix that section if you have the opportunity to. Let me see if I could try to bevel that. Press Control 1. Go to Edge, double click this edge. Hold Shift, double click there, there, here, and then I'm going to select these individual pieces of geometry. I didn't foresee that one, I forgot about it. Now hold Shift, right mouse click and hold, double. Alright, and I'll just add 3 segments in. Perfect. And we'll change the fraction to be a little bit larger because I want it to match this section. So we go to Face, I'll select, press 4 to select that little triangle, press 5, and then it doesn't like me to select that triangle. I'll press 4, I'll double click on that triangle. Oops. Let's double click here. No, it doesn't want to work. Let's try to. So there, double click there. There we go. Here, press 4 to select that triangle. Select this guy. Double click here. Select this guy. Double click here. Press 4. Double click here. Press 4, and I'll select these guys. Select this one. So again, we're going to add that little, I don't know if you want to call it like a fringe or something. Here, here. exam. Oh yeah. All right. So kind of speed up this process. Like this guy. It's always important to like frame in on your object because you can see as I'm rotating around this object, I don't really have to do too much like zooming out because it's within my camera's focus. Oops. Alright. And select this one and oh yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so now Control E, press 1 on the keyboard, and then let's move this guy out like so. Okay. Now when I press 3, we get that nice little edge. Looks so cool. Press right mouse click and hold object mode. Yeah, I'm happy. Control 1. So that's looking really good. Okay, now you're probably wondering, do we have to do the same thing with this guy? Probably, maybe not. I'll move it up and see what we can do with this thing here. I'll press Control D. Control Vertex. Highlight these vertices. I'll press 1 so it's a little easier to see the geometry. There we go. Move those vertices out. I'll hold spacebar, click on Maya, go to my front view, and this is probably 100 times easier. So I'm gonna put this guy here. Take those vertices so they're not intersecting. And then select these guys, kind of move them down a little bit so they don't look exactly the same as the other cushion. But I'm really not going to focus on that because I know there'll be pillows in front of this. This is just for my own personal satisfaction. Alright, I'm happy with that. Object mode, and press 3 on this guy, press 3 on that. And yeah, there we go. Now there is, hold spacebar, click on, there is some areas on this cushion where it feels a bit too square. We can go to Control Vertex, maybe like select that whole section here. If I press 4, I always want to make sure I don't have any vertices selected in the back. I'll press 5, we could press B, which is a soft selection. I'll hold B, scale it down, and maybe we just kind of push this edge back. So again, it doesn't feel so like normal, and you know, I try to get it as close to something like that. Just like this, these faces are vertices there. Hold B to make it a little bit smaller. Change the camera angle and just kind of push and pull on some of these things to give it greater depth of just TLC, right? Again, we won't see too much of that, but just trying to create that little separation there. Again, if you don't like it, you can always press Z to undo, right? Okay. Now, let's go ahead and save this. It's a file. Save scene as. I'm going to call it couch_02. I probably should have a few more saves in here. If Maya crashed on me in the middle of this, I'd be really, really hurt. Alright, now we're going to focus on, let's say, this section of our sofa. So yeah, let's come back in the next tutorial to create that little detail in the cushion. giving it a little bit of fluffiness on the surface of that object. And I hope you guys enjoy. Actually, I'm going to put this on a layer and rename it to extra cushion. I might need it later. So we're halfway there. Again, I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and I know that your projects are going to look amazing if you can get everything the way you want it to be. I'll see you in the next tutorial.